Nigeria has been hit hard by insecurity in some parts of the country. Insurgents like Boko Haram and other criminals, including bandits, have killed Nigerians from all faiths. Many Nigerians have also lost their lives in clashes between largely Muslim herders and Christian farmers, fights that have more to do with land use and ownership than religion. There have also been some attacks on places of worship, including churches and mosques. But US President Donald Trump believes that Christians who are largely being targeted, and he's asked the US Department of War to prepare for military strikes for Nigeria if such killings do not stop.
They're killing record numbers of Christians in Nigeria. And they have other countries very bad also. You know that part of the world, very bad. They're killing the Christians and killing them in very large numbers. We're not going to allow that to happen.
Although Trump spoke of a record number of Christians being killed in Nigeria, he's not given any figures to back his claim. He's also not issued a breakdown of the religion of victims of violence in Nigeria, including Boko Haram attacks that have targeted people of all faiths for many years now. The latest warning from Washington have alarmed the Nigerian authorities. Nigerian President Bola Tinubu issued a statement denying Christians are being targeted for their faith and insisted the government is committed to protecting people of all faith and guaranteeing their freedom of worship. The threat of unilateral US military intervention in the country has drawn mixed reactions from both the Christian clergy and worshippers.
It's not only the Christians they are killing those who are not Christians too. But they are coming to assist. We should allow them, but we should not just depend on them alone, because it's only God that can really save us from this situation.
Nigerians must not also forget that we've also gone to other countries to tell their leaders to do right. So let's not be hypocrite in this matter. What some of us will not support is anybody deciding who should be our leader. It's purely a Nigerian thing. But if they are reminding us that what is accepted in our constitution, what is acceptable in other standards, we should do it. If we say they shouldn't, then we should also say that the Americans should have nothing to do with us. We can't receive their aid and say they shouldn't be worried about things that are going on among us.
All we want is, what do you do with the people that have been killing? Is our concern. Not denial. Nobody can deny. But most of the people that are being killed, up to today, we are still having the pains. But the issue of what do you do with the people that have killed those that are loved ones?
Nigerian President Bola Tinubu is expected to visit Washington this week in a trip that will now gain more significance as the two countries try to resolve their differences following Trump's warning. All eyes are now on Washington to see whether the diplomatic differences over this issue will get patched up in the coming days. Daniel Arap Moy, CGTN.
Now, for a deeper look into this, we have with us Ovigwe Egwegu, policy analyst at Development Reimagined, joining us via Zoom from Toronto. Thank you very much, Mr. Egwegu, for joining us. Now, Trump is claiming there is mass killing of Christians by insurgents, but is this really true? Are the Christians more of a target of insurgents than communities of other different faiths?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. First of all, I think it's important to mention that there really isn't any clear data to show that the Christians in particular are being targeted. However, we've seen killings across certain states in the country for several years now, but it affects both Christian and Muslim communities. So if the US is coming up with this narrative that the Christians are particularly being targeted, then it has to provide evidence to that regard. That's not to say we don't have security problems, particularly in the Middle Belt and North Central, with regards to bandits and herders attacking communities. But they are not really attacking those people because they are Christians. Those people just happen to be in resource-rich places they need for grazing, or for some people who want to just extract minerals. And then that happens to communities that are, or where those lands that are people who are Christian, not because they are Christian, but because they are on resource land that is needed by certain interests.
Let's talk about the timing. Why has Trump triggered this issue now?
Well, I think if you follow the pattern of President Trump, one of the things he does, particularly in the lead up to summits with foreign leaders, is to raise the stakes and really try to put pressure on the other side. I mean, we saw that recently, even with China, with tariffs and all of what do you call it now, restrictions on export and all of that, try to build pressure, but apparently he's realizing that China cannot be bullied, and he caved with the summit we saw in South Korea. So with some African countries, it thinks that is going to work as well. Maybe not. We're hearing reports that President Tinubu is likely to visit Washington, but also recently in the last 1 hour, several media in Nigeria are saying that the president is not going to the US. Instead, he will be going for the G20 in South Africa. So that pressure tactic, maybe it has backfired with regards to Nigeria. That said, Nigeria's sovereignty, according to Nigerians, must be respected because this is not an issue that they take lightly themselves.
So what can the Nigerian president then ask for from Trump as a way of dealing with the issue of insurgent attacks to address both Trump's concerns and as well the security issue at home?
No. I think the way to look at this is not what Nigeria can ask for. Rather, Nigeria needs to make the case very, very clear and provide the right contextual understanding of what's happening in the country. Given that the US is interested in knowing what's available and it is in many ways misinformed. That's not to say that what's coming from out of Washington now is just really about Christians. It's not really the case because, like I was talking about, the trend. But the main priority of the United States government with regards to African countries and elsewhere now is securing access to critical and strategic minerals. That has followed every single high-level engagement with the continent. Whether we're looking at Congo, we're looking at even the mini summit it had with some African countries from African leaders from West Africa. It's all about strategic and critical minerals, of which Nigeria has a lot of. And perhaps it's a better ask would be for value-added manufacturing investment into Nigeria if that's what he wants, as opposed to threatening bombs. I think Nigeria needs checks of investment for value-added manufacturing, not war plants.
And finally, what would a U.S. intervention look like for Nigeria if indeed Trump goes ahead with his threats, whether in terms of aid suspension or military attack?
It will be catastrophic, not just for Nigeria, but also for the U.S.'s reputation, because nobody is asking for this. There's no evidence from any segment of the society where people are clamoring for foreign intervention. Rather, they want their leaders, the Nigerian government, to take charge of this situation, which in many ways they are. It's just that they are under-resourced, the military, and it's stretched thin because there are so many theaters of operation. And we've seen the police struggle. So the military is having to even help the police and other security agencies to combat these bandits and insurgent groups terrorizing communities across the country. So if there is room for cooperation, and in the United States, for instance, like I said, has to, if it wants to get involved in this particular issue, has to look at it from a developmental perspective. These communities need development. They have resources. If there are jobs and people are well employed and educated, then they would not have this type of conflict. So, like I said, what is needed is investment plans for value-added manufacturing, not war plans. And I think Nigeria will be making the case if at all the president of Nigeria makes it to Washington, D.C.